Hey BookTube, it's Kim at Middle of the Book March, and I have not done a True Confessions video for a while. So here's the latest. I'm cheap, and I wanted to talk about that and how it applies to books, which I've talked about in the past. But Ann Novella posted a video last week. The link will be in the description box below, where she talked about the price of books, and she had asked publishers, do you want us to read? Do you want us to stop reading? Or how are we supposed to afford buying books? And the minute I saw that video, I said to myself, and I wrote a comment to Ann Novella on her video, that, yeah, I'm all over this one because it's such a huge pet peeve of mine. So I'm going to talk about that here, and I'm going to just outwardly confess that I am really cheap. I look for deals. I look for bargains. I hate spending money that I think is not warranted on certain purchases. And I'm just unwilling to throw money away. I don't have, we're by no means poor, and we have everything we need and a lot of stuff we want. And we have no issues with paying our bills, but I still am aware of having a budget, and I'm aware of how much I want to spend, and I'm aware of how much disposable income that we earn. And so my hobby, reading and books and all of that, is pretty, I don't know, low stakes for finances, but it could be much higher. Books aren't cheap. They're not cheap. And especially hardcovers. And one of the most mind-boggling things in publishing is that a hardcover book comes out and the paperback doesn't come out until like a year later. There have been exceptions, but for the most part, you have to wait that long to read a new release if you're a new release reader. I'm typically not, but there are many that I like. And I've either waited until I can find them at a bargain price, or I've waited for the paperback. Now, there is one book. Now, over the years, let me back up. Over the years, there have been exceptions. I have bought brand new books at full price. The typical only reason I do that is if I'm walking into one of my favorite independent bookshops and I want to keep them supported. I want to be part of the group of people that keeps them afloat and supports them in continuing to stay open. So there are a few bookstores that I've walked into and I have bought books on purpose, full price, because I really support the store. However, one book that I bought full price was not an independent, it was a chain bookstore, but I was there on release date because I needed to have this book and read it immediately. I needed to, or I convinced myself that was a need, but I bought it at full price. There was no discount. And I still am pissed off about it. It is this one, Margaret Atwood's The Testaments. Now, The Handmaid's Tale is iconic. It's an iconic piece of literature. It is now assigned in schools and high schools. It is considered a classic. This is just a bucket of crap. And I was so mad. The full price is $28.95. Now, $28.95, you say? That's less than 30 American dollars, which is a typical price of a hardcover book. This was published in 2019, so we're getting on 4 years. In that time, hardcover books hover around the $30 price point, if not more than that. I've walked into a store and I've opened the cover and looked at the price of the book, and some hardcovers are almost 35 American dollars. Why is a hardcover book $35 when I can go to the library if I choose and get it for free, or I can wait for it to come out in paperback? But I think publishers are counting on the spin. Publishers are counting on getting the readers ramped up to buy the books immediately. But who can afford a $35 hardcover on a regular basis? And does that mean that I'm only going to buy one hardcover every couple of months? Because if I want to read a new release when it comes out, that's what I have to pay. I don't get it. And then when you buy books through an online gigantic conglomerate of a seller, you get a very steep discount. But I'm going to say this, if you're buying from, you know, the online retailer who's trying to run the world, their prices have gone up. Why? Why does that person or people or group of people who run that company need more money? Why do they need more money? And they're not the publisher, they're the retailer. And I think that's part of the I'm going to put this down because I don't like it and it's heavy. But I think that's part of the problem is that retailers, the online retailers, are buying in such vast quantities that it drives the price of the book down for the publisher's side. And so the publisher has to mark up the prices in order to make the astronomical profits that they want to make instead of actually giving it to the authors who created the writing, the art, the book, the literature. So yeah, I'm getting worked up about this. I can't afford to buy brand new books at $32 or $36 or $38. I think Michelle Obama's memoir was $38. I can't afford that. But again, I have another exception. There was a hardcover book I did buy on purpose, full price, because I wanted the author to make as much money as she possibly could on this book. And this is nonfiction. This book was $28 in US dollars. And this is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. Now this is the memoir experience of her rape at Stanford University. And I mean, when I read the news story alone was just depraved and horrifying enough. But when she came out with a book, she was claiming her own personal power. And I knew for a fact that I wanted her to make as much money as she could on the publication of this story. Because just the bravery and the confidence and the state of mind that she had to write this all down and to go public and to have her face and her name out there. So yeah, I bought this full price because I wanted to. I wanted to make sure she got supported. The only problem with that is I really don't know what percentage of profits the authors get. Unless you are a prolific author like a Barbara Kingsolver or one of my next authors or somebody like that whose, you know, advances are in the 7 figures. Unless you're out there and you've been out there for a long time, I don't think you are wealthy as an author. You just have to write so much to get into that kind of that level of payday. So let me know if I'm wrong. If any of you are out there and you are in publishing or are an author who can make money from writing, let me know how that works, if you wouldn't mind. So I'm just, you know, for those of us who read as much as we read on BookTube, I honestly don't know very many of us who can afford to buy brand new books as they come out, especially in hardcover. And it's really frustrating because there are times I just don't want to wait a year for a book to come out in paperback. And yeah, I can honestly easily go to my library. I can get books electronically via ebook or audiobook, and I do that a lot. But let's face it, if I'm on BookTube and I'm creating content, I'm a collector. I want to have books in my collection. A lot of times what I have done is I have read a book through my library and I've absolutely loved it. And then down the road, I have gone and acquired a copy for my library. But it's just a bonus to me if I find it at a bargain price or a discount, or if I find a really good used copy. And one of my favorite ways to acquire used books is library sales. So I recently went to a library sale, maybe a couple months ago. And I already showed you these books in a book haul, so I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, but I wanted to reiterate the price that I paid for these books. One is fiction and one is nonfiction. These were both discards from the actual library. Library sales will take donations, donated books, and they'll sell those as well. But these both came out of the library's collection. Now, what is fascinating to me is these are both brand new releases, but they they pushed them out of circulation. I guess nobody checked them out. I don't know. I don't know why, because they're fascinating to me. I haven't read either one yet, but they're both hardcovers. They're both brand new releases, and they were both about $2 each. The first one is The Revolutionary Samuel Adams by Stacy Schiff, and they both still have the Mylar cover. Most often, I leave that on, and I really like it, and I think I finally realized why. It's because I can keep the dust jacket on without it moving when I'm reading a hardcover. It doesn't slip off because the libraries either glue or tape them down. Look at the end papers. So I was just giddy having found this book for a couple dollars. Excuse me, Stacy Schiff is becoming a favorite nonfiction author of mine, and I was really interested to read this book. So $2 at my local library sale. This one is a novel. This is John Irving's The Last Chairlift, which is his most recent novel, and this is a beast of a book. It's super heavy. Hardcover deckled edges. This one has deckled edges too, which if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know I love them. But this one, again, was a couple of dollars, and the full price of this book is, oh, good gracious, I think it's $33. No, it's $38. The piece of library tape is obscuring the price, but on the back of the book, there it is. Can you see that? $38 for this hardback brand new release. I got it for $2 at a library sale. I can't tell you how that feels when I hit those jackpots. And I struggle because I really do want authors to make money. But if I'm buying books for $1, $2, there's another library I can buy books for 50 cents. Nobody's making any money off of that. But they are benefiting the library because the library sells books to use money and have funds for library programs and special events and that type of thing. So I love to support that. I love buying used books because I actually kind of pay attention to how much I consume. I don't want to overconsume. I don't want there to be brand new books and more paper and more paper. So I'm conflicted in all directions, but I simply can't afford and don't want to pay $38 for a brand new book. And this is a perfect example of, you know, had I gone to my library and checked this out to see if I really loved it, that would have been a good plan, but I didn't have to because I found it at a library sale. I do buy a lot of used books online, and I only do that because I don't have very many used bookstores near me. I go on book road trips all the time, so there are used bookshops that I frequent. But I do find them online, and I almost always look for former library copies. This one I just read and loved it. It's a brand new book, pretty brand new, and this is The Gunkel by Stephen Rowley. I really enjoyed this, just finished it. And I bought this used. It's a former library book. It came from Tulsa City County Library. I think I bought it off Thrift Books or Better World Books, one of them. And I believe the full price is $27. I believe I paid $7 for this book and possibly for $1 or $2 in shipping. I probably didn't pay for shipping because it was free, but I think it was $7 or $8 that I spent on that book. So yeah, I tend to buy books that are bargain books, that are overstock books. I have plenty of thrifty ways to acquire books. I do go to the library, not as often as I used to, because I have so many of my own books in my personal collection. But I can't, it's not the authors, it's the publishing machine that is marking up books to almost $40, 40 American dollars. They are far more expensive in other countries around the world. And depending on where you live, you might not have a library system that supports your habit or that supports the amount of books or the types of books that you want to read. So you're stuck waiting for a book to be marked down or to come out in paperback. But yeah, and sometimes I have allowed that to dictate how I read because I'm not a giant fan of new releases anyway. I'm not a new release reader on a regular basis. I'm pretty selective, and I really actually do enjoy older books more. I don't know. It's partly because they've stood the test of time. There are reviews out there. I don't often do the risky thing and take a chance on a brand new release or a debut novel. I have read some great ones. I'm rambling at this point. I mean, my point is I hate spending that type of money on one book. It's too much. And it's too much. The profits that publishing is making is just outrageous. So, yeah, and I could be wrong. You can tell me if I'm wrong. Yeah, and I'm not talking about independent presses. I'm not talking about, you know, small, very small presses or, I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. $40, hovering around $40 for one book is outrageous. I can't afford it, nor do I want to aspire to afford it. So I'll keep doing what I'm doing. I'll find books at much more affordable prices. I'll pace myself, and then I end up reading what I want. So let me know what you think about this whole topic. Watch Ann's video that is linked below, and she tagged a whole bunch of people. So if you kind of follow her lead to see who's going to say something about this topic or maybe weaponize it into a tag, we'll see. But check her out and let me know in the comments below what you think about book prices and spending money on books. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.